When I came here last time on Vijayadashmi day to take part in Durga Homa, Swamiji was kind enough to receive me and make me participate all through the programs that were being held in connection with Vijayadashmi celebrations. He was also kind to ask me to say a few words about Mother, Divine Mother, Durga. Though it was late in the afternoon, he was kind enough to give me an opportunity to speak on the glory of the Divine Mother. When I did that, his kindness extended to offer one more invitation to go over here today and speak on the power of Ramanaam. Today being Ekadashi day. It's a great thing. It is really something that we have to count ourselves extremely lucky that today we are here to take part in the bhajans and also to have an occasion to listen to the glory of Sri Rama's name. Participating in any spiritual program connected with knowing the glory of Rama on Ekadashi day has got a tremendous significance for the serious spiritual seekers. There are certain notable days. Every day is auspicious, all right, but still there are certain days which are extra auspicious. If you keep awake all through the night during Shivaratri and offer even one bilvadala to Lord Shiva on that day, Shiva will be extremely happy to receive your devotion and he will be gracious enough to bless you with anything you want. It is said in Bhagavatam, with all devotion, if you just chant the name of Shiva once, with heart full of devotion, Shiva will give you liberation, mukti. Say just once, Om Namah Shivaya, he gives you mukti, especially on Shivaratri day. If you say Om Namah Shivaya for the second time, he gives himself to you. This is said in Bhagavatam. If you say it for the third time, he will be lost because he has nothing more to give you. Oh, third time also he has been chanting my name. What shall I give him? I have given him liberation, I have given my own self. What else is there to give? So thinking, he feels a little lost. This is about the greatness of Lord Shiva. Hindu scriptures are full of descriptions where we come across things like this. How much gracious Lord Shiva will be on Mondays, on Shivaratri day. How much gracious Divine Mother will be during Navaratri days. Mother herself declares through Durga Saptashati, if anyone chants the descriptions of I have slain Mahishasura and all those demons during these Navaratri days, I lift him to the level of Brahman. I make him Brahman. I make him a Rishi. I make him a great scholar. Divine Mother herself declares. So much gracious they are. They want people to work out their liberation, to work out their elevations. That is, the characteristic feature of godhood. Gods are not cruel, gods are not indifferent. They are not callous, they are ever concerned with the upcoming of their own children. After all, no parent is indifferent towards his or her children. The one concern that a true parent will ever have is always to see their own glory in the glory of their children. Parents try to see their glory, their well-being, their upcoming in the well-being of their own children. If this is the case with an ordinary parent, how much of this thing, the same thing, we can find in that divine parentage? So, it is up to the prudence of man, it is up to the wisdom of man to know of all these things and try to engage himself in one or the other spiritual exercise, spiritual practice, all through the year. Every day, some amount of time invariably should be earmarked for entering into some sort of spiritual contemplation. Leave aside everything, enter into yourself and devote the whole time and energy for reflecting upon that divine heart. This must constitute a regular the duty of every human being who is really serious, if he is really serious about his upcoming. This is the vein in which all our sages, all our saints have taught all through the scriptures. Coming to Sri Rama's glory, if you are spending some time in contemplating about Ramachandra or his Leela, the glory associated with him, especially on Ekadashi day, he will be immensely pleased. And today you all have come for that. Swami Brahmananda Maharaj, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, had a very beautiful vision during his lifetime. I don't remember the place where it took place. Might have taken place in Belur Mutt, or it might have taken, some say it took place in Kashi Ramakrishna Center, wherever it might have taken place, but it is certain that it was a reality. It did take place in the life of Swami Brahmananda. All brahmacharis and sannyasis of Ramakrishna order, they all have been singing with full devotion. They are all singing Ramanaam. You all know Shuddha Brahma Paratpara Rama, Kalatmaka Parameshwara Rama. We have that Ramanaam. We sing in India, especially North India, especially South India also, on Ekadashi days especially, people sing that. When they were all immersed in singing the glory of Ramachandra, Brahmanandaji saw Hanuman coming towards that place. Brahmanandaji was a highly enlightened soul, you know. He was spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna himself. He was not an ordinary soul. He could clearly see Hanuman coming towards the place where the worship was going on. Right at the entrance, he disguised himself as a old Vaishnava man. An old man belonging to Vaishnava cult with Naam on the forehead and all that. In the guise of a Vaishnava old man, he entered. They sat all through the program with tears of joy trickling down his cheeks till the singing was over. After the singing was over, after the deliberations came to an end, he disappeared from there. Brahmanandaji, with eyes open, clearly, vividly saw this. Immediately, he was the president of Ramakrishna Mission at that time. Immediately, he passed an order for all the centers in the Ramakrishna Mission that all centers must sing Ramanaam on Ekadashi days. About Hanuman, there is a saying in our scriptural literature, Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krutamasta Kanjalim Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namasa Rakshasantakam. Wherever the glory of Ramachandra is sung, there Hanuman will come. He will take part in the celebration with tears of joy. Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namata Rakshasantakam. Oh Maruti, such a great man you are, such a wonderful soul you are. I salute to you. Like that, the meaning of that verse goes. Brahmanandaji saw this. So whatever that is said in the Hindu scriptural literature, they are not fabulous, they are not fables, they are not fictitious. Lot of truth is there. Lot of truth is there. That is how the saints come and incarnate in India every now and then. Periodically the saints come. Why? Narada refers to this in the Bhakti aphorisms that he has given. Narada Bhakti Sutras. What is the duty of a saint? Narada puts this question and he himself goes to answer. He says, Tirthi kuruvanti tirthani, Sachastri kuruvanti shastrani. When an incarnation or a saint comes, he enlivens the glory of a pilgrim center. He makes Shastras full of life. Shastras are not just pieces of literature. Somebody having written that in some high exalted mood, giving some expressions to all the aesthetic, the temperaments or the moods that he had. At least Hindu scriptures, they are not like that. Shastras means they are sciences, experiences, vivid, very rationally recorded, very rationally verified, even today verifiable. The recording, the accumulation of experiences, genuine experiences of highly purified souls from time to time, that is what Indian Shastras. So those Shastras, we must believe in them. See, it is said, wherever Rama's glory is sung, Hanuman will come. Nobody perhaps might have believed in that if the living illustration of what is said in that shloka would not have happened in case of the life of Swami Brahmanandaji. When Brahmanandaji saw it vividly, we are getting a new belief. The credibility of the Shastras is getting a new impetus. Yes, what Shastras say are true. They are not just things to be put aside thinking that they are all beliefs. It is a question of belief. Nothing rational in that. No, that is not the way that we have to look at these Shastras. We can verify them. They have been verified. They are being verified. They are verifiable. Even today you can verify. That is Shastra. So viewed from this angle, taking part in some spiritual practice, especially when it is connected with Sri Rama on an Ekadashi day, is a highly elevating thing. It is it is something like a unique opportunity. It's a privilege for a serious spiritual seeker. With this background, I would like to enter into the subject proper. The power of Ramanaam. Lord Shiva is the first person who understood the power of Ramanaam. In Vishnu Sahasranama, a part of Mahabharata, there is an assemblage of all elevated souls comprising Bhishma, Yudhishthira and so many people. Whenever pure souls, highly elevated spiritual souls sit together, invariably the discussion will turn towards some spiritual topic. How man can be liberated from all his miseries. This is one constant strain in which all the elevated and spiritually illumined souls in India have been speaking about. How man can be liberated from all his miseries. How in one stroke man can be made the master of the situation. How man can be imparted with an ability, with a power whereby he will never remain a victim of situation. How man can make himself strong enough to overcome any situation, any calamitous situation. How can we enable him to overcome all his weaknesses and all that? This is one constant theme that Rishis have been discussing all through, right from Rigvedic days up to the days Sri Ramakrishna and Ramana Maharshi, etc., appeared on Indian spiritual scene. So, in Mahabharata, we come across such a situation. Bhishma and such other highly elevated souls, they all have gathered there discussing about how a man can be liberated from the shackles. Bhishma says, it is by singing the glory of Vishnu. It is by singing the glory of Vishnu. About this, another discussion took place in Kailash. It is said in the Mahabharata, when this discussion like this was going on, somewhere in Hastinapur and around, this was being observed by Parvati and Shiva, who were in Kailash, and Parvati grew very much curious to know from Shiva himself how the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be pronounced, can be chanted in a much simpler way. Oh Lord, really I am extremely pleased to see the glory of Vishnu. They all have been discussing about that. But I want to have a method. I want you to suggest me a method whereby the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be chanted. Or a person will be able to acquire, how in a simple way a person will be able to acquire the merit that one can accrue by singing the glory of Vishnu through the 1,000 names. This is what is meant there. Kena upayena laghuna. How in a simple way one can accrue the same merit? Parvati puts this question to Shiva. Kena upayena laghuna. Vishnur nama sahasrakam. Pathyate pandite nityam. Shrotum ichhami aham prabho. Oh my Lord, oh my Prabhu. Kena upayena laghuna. Vishnur nama sahasrakam. How Vishnu's 1,000 names can be chanted in a much simpler way. Shiva was so much pleased when Parvati asked this question. Immediately he puts this answer, he gives out this beautiful reply to Parvati saying, see Parvati, Shri Rama Rama Rameti, Rame Rame Manorame, Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. If you just say Rama once, by saying the word, by pronouncing the word Rama once, it is as good as going to the whole of Vishnu Sahasranama. You need not chant the whole of Vishnu Sahasranama at all. You need not go through the 1,000 names of Vishnu. Once say Rama, just say Ram, it is as good as chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu. How Shiva has been able to know this? Is he bluffing? Is he bluffing? No, he is not bluffing. If you look into Adhyatma Ramayana, we come to understand the background of this. When Sri Ramachandra was born, everybody was engaged, everybody was busy in the task of what name should be put to this newly born baby. It is so charming, so beautiful. Rama was known for his exquisite beauty. Any number of times Valmiki sings about the glory of Rama. There is a beautiful episode in Kamba Ramayana. Kamba is a great sage coming from Tamil Nadu. In Kamba Ramayana, we come across a very interesting episode. When such a jnani like Vashishta himself has fixed the time for Rama's coronation, why coronation did not take place? This is the question he puts. Vashishta was not an ordinary man. He was a great sage, Trikala Jnani. He himself has fixed Muhurtam for Sri Ramachandra's Pattabhishek coronation. For Rama's coronation, the time, the auspicious moment, it was fixed by none other than one of the 7 great sages, Vashishta, a great Brahmajnani. Vashishta himself fixed the Muhurtam for Rama's coronation, but still it did not materialize. Why? This Kamba, a great poet in Tamil who has written Ramayana, Kamba Ramayana, very famous Kamba Ramayana, he puts this question and he himself answers. No doubt Vashishta was an extraordinary jnani. The auspicious moment that he has fixed will never be failing. But what happened, just before Rama was to be taken, Rama was to be ushered to the place where coronation was to take place, Vashishta, being the Kula Guru, the Guru of that Ikshvaku dynasty, he had to tie a sort of kankan. He had to tie kankan as something like a ring-like structure made of that darbha, kankan. Before you go to perform any auspicious function like the homa that we performed on Vijayadashmi day, or any auspicious function, around one of the fingers, probably it is the middle finger, a sort of kankan will be tied, and that is Diksha. He becomes Dikshita. The man who performs will have to tie a kankan there, and then he has to go to the proceedings of the ritual proper. That is the custom in Hindu tradition. So Rama was to be tied with this kankan. Vashishta himself was to tie that, because being Kula Guru, it was his duty. Rama was to offer his hand, and Vashishta was to tie it to the middle finger. Vashishta took Rama's hand in his palm, and he was so much fascinated by the beauty of Sri Rama's hand, the forearm, the fingers, and lotus-like the palm. So beautiful, so enchanting it was. Vashishta went to raptures. He forgot himself. He intently started looking at what a beautiful thing. How beautiful is this? He turned it aside, inverted. He was totally engrossed in seeing the beauty of Rama. The right moment at which the kankan was to be tied, it went off. It slipped away. He was to tie the kankan at exactly that particular moment, it went off, because he was so much engrossed in seeing the beauty of Ramachandra. He lost himself. He became unconscious of all these things, and somehow it slipped away. At the time he tied the kankan, it was not an auspicious time. It slipped away. The question has been, it is so beautifully put in Tamil. Tol kandar, tole kandar. As he was looking at the palm, he went on looking at that. Tol kandar, tole kandar. That was the beauty that Rama had, even while he was born. Wonderful thing, such a wonderful thing. So, everybody in the palatial circle has been busy to give a beautiful name. Ultimately, the choice fell on Vashishta himself. The man of highest wisdom, a great tapasvi. Naturally, the choice fell on him. Vasishtha wanted to give a very, very suitable name for this extraordinary baby, whom he understood as none other than Lord Vishnu himself. Vishnu himself has come in the form of Rama. I have absolutely no doubt about that. The name that I would suggest must be so fitting to that. And he entered into reflection. He pondered on what name would really fit to this great baby. He selected two names. One is Narayanaya and the other one is Namah Shivaya. One is Narayanaya and the other one is Namah Shivaya. He wanted to have an extraction of these two names, and that extraction would be put as the name for Rama. Vasishtha went on pondering, and ultimately it struck him, let me select the second letter in this word Narayanaya. Let me select the second letter, and let me select the second letter from Namah Shivaya. So the second letter in Narayanaya is Ra. The second letter in Namah Shivaya was Ma. Why Vasishtha was so particular about that? He thought, by saying Narayanaya, one will be lifted. By saying Namah Shivaya, also one will be lifted. But this man must have the merits both combined in him. If you just say Rama once, it is as good as saying both Narayanaya and Namah Shivaya. It should be the meaning and the greatness, the grandeur of this man who is born to Dasharatha now. That must be the stature and the glory that he must have in life. So with that, let me have a combination such that the second letter from both Narayana and Namah Shivaya is taken, and that combination will constitute the name for this newly born babe. That is how the word Rama was coined by Vasishtha. This is said in Adhyatma Ramayana. Such wonderful things that we come across. So Shiva perhaps understood this and said, any number of times you may chant Vishnu Sahasranama. That is up to your option and your devotion. But remember, if he says once Rama, it is as good as chanting Vishnu Sahasranama once. Shiva has not said that. Tulsidas gives an inkling it. If you just say Rama once, it is as good as chanting Vishnu Sahasranama once and also Shiva Sahasranama once. Tulsidas puts this. He also does not elaborate. He gives an inkling. You want to please both Shiva and Narayana with their Sahasranams, just to say Rama once. Both of them are pleased. Tulsidas says that. It so happened in Kabir Das' life. Once, a saintly man, somewhere in the mid-noon, came to Kabir Das' house asking for alms. Kabir Das was not in the house, only his wife was there. The mendicant came, "Oh mother, I am feeling very hungry. Can you please give me some alms?" By just looking at him, Kabir Das' wife was able to understand that he was a saintly man. And feeding saints is a very important and auspicious duty for our householders. People that come from Indian cultural background, they know it very well. Anyone who comes in the midday seeking for some food or any such thing, you can't turn it aside. You have to consider him as Lord himself, especially when he comes at the noon time, at the time that you are about to take your food. He must be received in the house, he must be properly fed, and then only he must be sent. You can't put his request aside. That's how our cultural bearings are. So this man has come. Kabir Das' wife says, "Oh, sir, it seems you have not taken your bath. Please go to the river Ganga," because Kabir Das was staying in Kashi. "Go to Ganga and have your bath. Immediately come, I will feed you. You go and have your bath and come." No, sorry. The saint said, "Oh yes, please come in, I will feed you." Kabir Das' wife says, "Please come in, I will feed you." "Mother, I will just go to Ganges, take my bath and come. Afterwards you may feed me. I have not yet taken my bath. I will go to Ganges, have my bath and come here. Afterwards you may feed me." Kabir Das' wife said, "Oh sir, just for that purpose, why do you go up to Ganges? Just to say Ram, Ram, Ram 3 times. It is as good as taking bath only. Afterwards you can have your food." It was so much convincing for the mendicant. He said Ram thrice and had his food, and he went off. Afterwards, in the evening when Kabir Das came, the whole thing was narrated by his wife to Kabir in all details. Kabir became extremely angry with his wife. With tone charged with lot of anger, Kabir said, "You are unfit to be my wife. We have been singing the glory of Ram all these days in your house. Still you can't be able to understand what really that Ramanaam means, how much powerful it is. By just saying once, one will be liberated from all these sins. If you just say Ram once, all your sins will be washed off and you will be liberated from all your bondages, etc. When that is the power and glory of Ramana, you asked him to say Ram thrice just because he has not taken his bath for one day. You have insulted Ramana. You should not have told like this. Remember, Kabir, Tulsidas, Valmiki, Vasishtha, whenever they say something, they are all Bhagavata itself. They are all Shastra itself. Whatever utterance that comes from the mouth of a saint, it is nothing less than Lord itself in a literary form, in a vocal form, in a verbal form. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Lord always appears in three forms. What are those three forms? Bhagavan, in the form of Bhagavan, of course everyone can understand when he is there. In the form of incarnation, it's okay. Bhagavan, Bhakta and Bhagavata are not different. Bhakta, Bhagavata and Bhagavan, these three are not different. Here, Kabir has been saying something about Sri Rama's glory, or more, the glory of Ramanaam. And Kabir himself is an extraordinary devotee, which means to say, according to Sri Ramakrishna's version, a grand devotee of Lord is Lord himself. Can he ever tell a lie? That all depends upon your Shraddha. How much Shraddha you have. How much Shraddha you have. See, Sri Ramakrishna was fond of saying, this is the power of Ramana. Hanuman just said once Ram and jumped over the sea. But for Rama himself to cross the sea, he had to construct a bridge. For Rama himself to cross the sea, he had to construct a bridge. In the case of Hanuman, with all devotion, he said Ram once and he was able to jump over the sea. Are these things Ramakrishna says about that? Kabir says about that. Lord Shiva says about that. Everybody has been saying about that. Have they all been telling lies? Have they all been telling lies? It is up to the Shraddha, the devotion, the faith that you have in you. The faith that you have in you. It is said in Bhakti Shastras, if you properly call Lord, even once he will come. But you know how you have to call him? To know how you have to call him, you need to do tapasya for years and years together. Just by calling him once, he will give darshan, he will appear before you. Sri Ramakrishna used to sing this in one of the songs. Nambi karedare o ennadi haleno. This is the Kannada translation. If you really have that devotion in you and sincerely call her, the Divine Mother, do you think she can keep quiet? Nambi karedare oh, Yenadihaleno, can't she respond when you call mother with so much of devotion in you? Ninna horatu, avulem tiruballado. How can she keep you? How can she keep you away and be? She can't keep you away, her beloved son, and be away. She can't be away from you. But you don't know how to call her. Once you know how to call her, it is just sufficient to call her once. She has to come and stand before you. But to know how to call, you need to have lot of training, lot of tapasya must be done. So, coming back to the story of Vasishtha, afterwards Vasishtha says, I have selected these two letters from Narayanaya and Namah Shivaya, the second letter from both Narayana and Namah Shivaya, and coined this word Rama. You know why? Vasishtha now goes to explain. When you say Ra, your mouth gets opened. When you say Ra, see, mouth becomes open. Ra. When mouth becomes open, all the sins a man has accrued since several births in the past, all will go away. Mouth is open, all the sins will go away. And according to your karma, you can't be so easily liberated from your past sins and all that. Therefore, the sins are there to rush back into your being again. When you said Ra, all the sins have gone out. But still that karma is there, and according to that, those sins will have to come again inside and make their presence felt. They must subject you to all sorts of treachery, all sorts of tribulations, trials, difficulties and all that. They can't simply leave you like that. Therefore, the sins try to rush inside. But as they come inside, as they are about to rush inside, your mouth will be closed if you say Ma, Ra, Ma, Ra, Ma. Every time you say Rama, some amount of sin is going out and they can't come back. So there is just the process of emptying yourself of all the sins that you have accrued. And what will happen to you as a result of that? One day you will become a glorious, extraordinary soul. How at all Valmiki a great sinner Ratnakara converted himself into Valmiki by just pronouncing this two-lettered term Rama continuously being directed by Narada. You know the story of Ratnakara. Ratnakara, a butcher, a roadside murderer who would commit hundreds of murders every day. That was Ratnakara. One day, Narada happened to pass by. Narada looked at this man. He could clearly understand the potentiality that was there in this seemingly butcher, apparent butcher. Narada could know the real potent that was there in this man, wanted to teach him a lesson. Summoned the man near and asked, "Oh Ratnakar, you know how much of sins you have accrued. What will be your fate in your next birth, in future? You know how you have heaped your sins. You may take thousands of births to liberate yourself from the ill effects of the sins that you have accrued, that you have accumulated because of your evil actions all through the present birth and also in the births that have gone by." When Narada said this, Ratnakara was so much, because when some saint says something, they are not mere words. Immediately they touch the heart and will produce their impact. This stone-hearted man, Ratnakara, the ruthless butcher, his eyes got opened with a lot of that a sense of repentance, goes to Narada and pleads to him, "Please show me a way whereby I can free myself from the sins that I have committed. Please show me the way." Narada was so much moved at the plight of this man and suggested one simple way, one simple solution. Go on chanting Ram Ram. Go on chanting Ramanaam. Sit quietly in one place and go on chanting till I come again and wake you up. Don't wake up from that position till I come again and wake you up. Go on chanting this Ramanaam. Ratnakar goes. With all seriousness, he sat for meditation, and it is said, one anthill grew above him. When Narada came next time, he knew that Ratnakar was there inside the anthill, and he called him out. Valmiki, oh Valmiki, in Valmika, in Sanskrit, Valmika means anthill. The one sitting inside Valmika, oh Valmiki, come out. From that day onwards, he came to be known as Valmiki, who later gave to mankind this wonderful Srimad Ramayana, comprising 24,000 shlokas. Earlier, an unlettered fellow, a mass of ignorance, mass of all sinfulness, frozen sins, you can say. What a transformation took place within no time. Within a few years, he became an extraordinary saint and presented to mankind that most beautiful literary work. And it is not just a literary work, most beautiful darshan in Sanskrit, they call it as Valmiki Ramayana. How this transformation came, how it all came about. Two-lettered word. When Vasishtha said, "I am going to keep this such a beautiful name for this baby, it must be so glorious and so purifying in its nature that by chanting this name incessantly and continuously, one will be liberated from all sins." How many instances that we have got in human history to illustrate and prove this point? Yes, it is so. It is so. Tulsidas' example, it is simply glaring before us. Such a calming, he was Kama personified. Could not leave his wife even for a day. Even when the wife has been sent to her parental house, in the dead of night, around 1 o'clock in the night, he goes to see and meet his wife. Only that very day, wife has been sent to parental house. He could not bear the pangs of separation, wanted to go and meet her immediately, went and presented himself before her. She became so much annoyed in that fist of fury. She says, "Why are you so much attached to me? If only you had a fraction of this attachment for Sri Ram, your life would have been saved. You would have been a great man. What do you find such a thing in this flesh, in this mass of flesh and blood? If only you had a little of that attachment and attraction for Rama, you would have been a great man. You would have been saved." This opened the eyes of her husband. Later, he comes out and engages himself in singing the glory of Ramachandra. And today we know Tulsi Das with Ramacharita-manas, another Ramayana itself for the whole of North India. That way we have got innumerable examples whereby Sri Rama's glory has been vividly proved by the succession of saints and sages right from the day he appeared in Treta Yuga up to today. We all have heard about Samartha Ramadas, Guru of Shivaji. There is an interesting story about him. He was about to be wedded. He is there sitting on that plank where, along with him, his would-be wife also is sitting. Both of them are sitting. And this Purohit, this priest, has been chanting all mantras connected with this wedding ceremony. Sulagna Savadhana, Sumahurta Savadhana, Lakshmi Narayana Dhyana Savadhana. Like that, the Purohit, the Bhatji, the priest has been chanting all the mantras connected with this wedding ceremony. When he said Sulagna Savadhana, Sumuhurta Savadhana, Lakshmi Narayana Dhyana Savadhana, this Samartha Ramdas, he has not yet become Samartha, he is just Ramdas only. He took it in a different sense. Sulagna Savadhana means this is the right time. This is the right moment. This is the right time. Savadhan also means be careful. Lakshmi Narayana Dhyana Savadhan, be careful. This is the right moment for meditating about Lakshmi and Narayan. Be careful. He took it in that sense and he left the marriage house and went off. Nobody could trace out where this bridegroom has gone. On some pretext, he went inside the house, through the back door, he left the house and went off into some distant jungle. The people were not to hear about him for several years afterwards. Afterwards, when they heard about him, he had transformed himself into a great saint by chanting the Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. This is the Naam that he chanted. Went on chanting for days together, for months together, for years together. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. How many times he chanted? 13 crore times he chanted that. Tera Koti. In the whole India, this word Tera Koti is very famous. What is meant by that Tera Koti? 13 crore times he chanted Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. And Rama appeared. Ramdas, I am extremely pleased with your devotion. I want to give you something. Ask for something, whatever you want. I want to give you something. When Rama asked him to ask for something, the reply that Ramdas has given, it is an eye-opener for all of us. What should we ask when Lord appears before us? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when you go to a king, you should not ask for a pumpkin. A king is so much capable of giving you one principality. He can write one principality in your name. He can write one whole state, one district in your name. So much is his strength. You have gone to an emperor, and when emperor asks you, what do you want, sir? I want a small pumpkin because I want to prepare some palya in my house today. If you are such a miserly man, Krishna calls him as Kripana. Kripana phalahetavaha. When he says in Bhagavad Gita, when he uses that word Kripana, this is what he means. Don't be a Kripana. When Lord has appeared, you must ask something that befits His glory, His majesty. He is the Lord of the universe. At least you have to ask, I must be the emperor of this earth, the whole planet earth, for 5 million years. This is the minimum thing that you have to ask. Even then, you are not a right type of man, because you have not asked the right thing. Right thing when the man has appeared, when the right man has appeared. What should you ask for? Sri Ramakrishna says, ask for bhakti, jnana and vairagya. Bhakti, you know, you are all of Indian origin, you know what is meant by bhakti. Jnana also, you know. Vairagya means renunciation. When I say this, you may become a bit little annoyed. What is this, Swamiji? It's okay for you, sannyasis, to ask for such things, but we want different set of things. Remember, you may ask for anything that you want. You can ask anything that you want. Whatever you may ask, you are a jnani only. As long as you are asking Lord for something, you are jnani. You need not ask for bhakti one. Krishna puts it very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. There are 4 types of great men. There are 4 types of men whom really I consider as great. Krishna puts it in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. 4 different types of people are there that come to me always. 4 categories of people always come to me. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. They want me always. Not in a 5th category. Only these 4 people want. Janaha sukrutinaha Arjuna. Arjuna, they are all meritorious beings. They are all highly merited people. They are not ordinary lords. They are not mediocrities. They are really merited beings, merited souls. Janaha sukrutinaha. Sukrutina means very fortunate one. These all the 4 category of people are very fortunate. Who are they? What are those 4 categories? Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, Jnani cha Bharatarshabha. Artha, the one who has been plunged in difficulties. He has been plunged in difficulties. He is not finding any way out. It is, he can't breathe. Oxygen is not available for him. In such a helpless situation he is. He is Artha, like Draupadi, like Gajendra. Draupadi was left with no other way just to lift her both the hands and call out for Krishna. Oh Krishna, you alone are my refuge. I can't do anything more. Then came the grace, and we all know the rest of the story. And also Gajendra, when the crocodile held the leg so tightly, he was left with no other chance but to pray for the grace of Hari. And Hari did come and gave everything that he wanted. We all know such episodes are in plenty in India. To illustrate all this, Artha, the one who is plunged in helplessness, he will come to me. It doesn't matter. I will protect him. I will protect him. I will lift him. I will bless him. Artha, Jignasu, the man who is given to the inquisitive nature. Man who has got that intellectual inclination in the form of inquiring into the every mystery of all this. What is this creation? Why have I come here? What is meant by this I? Who is this father? Who is this mother? Shankaracharya puts it beautifully in his Dvadasha Manjari. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kome tataha iti paribhavita nija samsaraha. Go on putting yourself this question. Who am I? Kastvam koham kuta ayataha. Where from I have come? Where am I going? What is the purpose of my coming over here? Just to eat, drink and do something and go away? Even a worm can do it. Worms are 100 times happier than human beings. They have no examinations, they have no homeworks, they have no weekends, they have no earthquakes. Nothing of that. They are very, very happy and they are 100 times more joyous than you. Swami Vivekananda used to say, when a pig is eating, with so much gusto it eats, even if Lord comes and stands beside it, it does not look at him. Because all its joy is in the senses. Lower the level of evolution, more will be the joy in the senses. Higher the level of evolution, lesser will be the joy in the evolution, in the senses. Then where else will be our joy? Our joy will be in higher things. Intellectual pursuits, aesthetic pursuits, meditations, spiritual aspirations, spiritual inclinations, spiritual practices. When you sing bhajan for 1 hour, 2 hours, with all attention inside, with so much of involvement, what a joy is that? Can any joy be equal to 1/100th of the joy that you can derive by singing bhajan with all devotion? People that have experienced it, they alone can know what it is. Bhajan, what else do you need, man? If you have got a group of people who can sing bhajans with you, what more you need? What else do you need? That is why all these great people, they have left behind everything and joined. Mirabai, she could live like an empress. She could be a queen. But she left every palatial glory and came out with just a tambura in her hand, only to spend her time with the Vaishnava saints singing the glory of Krishna. Sasakule, Sasakahe, Kulanasire. My mother-in-law has been saying, I am a Kulanashini. Mira says in Pagu Gunguru Bandhakaranachi. Sasakahe, Kulanasire. Why? Because whatever a man does, he does it because he finds joy in that. He does so much joy in that. So, this is how people will take to the spiritual practices, spiritual glory, and all those things. So, Valmiki now has become, that Ratnakar has transformed himself into this Valmiki. And our Tulsidas has become a great Tulsidas, and he has written this Ramcharitmanas. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when you go to an emperor, don't ask for a pumpkin. Krishna comes to say, In Bhagavad Gita, 4 types of people are there. Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi. The man who is in need of all the returns, material returns from Lord. Oh Lord, give me a good promotion. See that my daughter is wedded to a good man. My son gets a very good employment in some great company. I want a big house. At least I want 4 BMW cars, not 1 or 2. With all sorts of materialistic returns, materialistic wants, we go to Lord. And we offer our prayers. There is absolutely nothing wrong. Krishna says there is nothing wrong. Whenever you want to ask someone for something, come to me and ask. Don't go to all Tom, Dick and Harry. Don't open up your mouth before each and every person that you are meeting in the street. Rather, you come to me and ask. Just because you are coming to me and asking for all these things, I am so much pleased. I am here to give you anything. But one thing, when I am here to give you anything, why don't you be intelligent enough to get everything in one stroke? Anyway, I am here to give you whatever you ask. You may ask pumpkin or you may ask anything, whatever you ask. I am ever ready to give you. Why don't you be so much intelligent to see that all your problems are put into in just one asking? Krishna continues in the next stanza that. But even then, Krishna is not angry with people that ask for lower things in life. All the 4 are great men. They are meritorious beings. They are no ordinary. Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, Jnani cha Bharatarshibha, Tesham Jnani Nitya Yuktaha. But the greatest of all these 4 is a Jnani, because he wants me and nothing else. He wants me and nothing else. When Ramachandra appeared before Ramadas and asked Ramadas, please ask for something. After all, what would he ask for when he has got Rama himself before him? This is what Ramadas said. Oh Rama, now that you have come to me, what else do I need? I can have your vision, the darshan. Once my eyes can see this resplendent being that you are, what after all it goes after? The whole world, the best luxuries in the world will appear as trash. Once I have tasted the beauty of seeing you once in my lifetime, what more do I need? But Rama was not to leave him. Now that I have promised that I will give you something, I should give. I have to keep up my words. Because it is Rama. He doesn't belong to the clan of politicians of today's politics in India. Once I promise you something, I have to give. I can't go back on my word. Ramadas, you have to ask me something for. Now, Ramadas has been such great saints. We all must be very much fortunate that our country has produced any number of saints of this type. Ramadas with hands folded says, oh Rama, I don't want anything. But please give me just this one boon. Anyone who chants the Nama that I have chanted, Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, for 13 crore times, you must give your darshan to him. You must appear before any man who chants this Maha Mantra, this Nam, for 13 crore times, just as I did. Rama has said, yes, I do. I do appear before that man. When I said this in one of the devotees' house in Bangalore, the girl that was listening to all this, she was studying in 2nd PUC. She was listening to all these things. Immediately she went inside. After 5 minutes she was back and told, oh mother, I have calculated how many times I have to chant every day in order that in just 25 years in my lifetime, I will be completing 13 crore times. Her mother said, first you complete your 2nd PUC, then you complete your engineering, then whatever you want you do. Till then don't go to all those things. If at all you try to do anything, your father will kill me simply. So complete your engineering, afterwards you do whatever you want. Joke apart, that apart, this is the glory of Rama, Sri Ramachandra. How much one can say. Just to say, the Telugu poet, mystic poet, Tyagaraja says, Sri Rama Nimamam Emi Ruchira, the Anta Ruchira. Oh Rama, how much delicious is your name. So sweet it is, so delicious. Valmiki, the very first sentence in Valmiki Ramayana, Srimad Ramayana says, Kujantam Ramarameti, Madhuram Madhuraksham. When a peacock shouts, Kuhu, Kuhu, when a peacock gives out its sound, it sounds like Ram, Ram, Ram. So sweet it is, Kujantam Ramarameti, Madhuram Madhuraksham. So sweet. Yes, it is. Sri Ramakrishna says, there is what is known as Japananda. There is what is known as Japananda or Nama Ruchi. There is what is known as Nama Ruchi. If a spiritual aspirant takes to repeating the name of a Lord 5,000 times, 10,000 times, 20,000 times a day, after about 5-6 months, he starts developing a taste for the Naam, a taste for that name of Lord. Once he develops that taste, the most difficult thing in his life to do from now onwards is to get up from the place where he has been repeating this Naam and go to look after the household work. Once you taste the beauty of this Naam, the Nama Ruchi, once you have come to taste the beauty, the delicious nature of that Naam, it becomes extremely difficult for you to lift from that place. You want to spend hours and hours together repeating the name of the Lord, days and days together in repeating the name of the Lord. That is Nama Ruchi. Till then, the spiritual aspirant has got difficulties. Till then, he has to gather all the willpower to stick to the place where he has been sitting. Even to spend half an hour, even to spend 45 minutes or 1 hour. But somehow, in spite of all these initial obstacles, somehow he has so strongly willed that he has to sit for hours together in the beginning and continue pursuing this Nama Japa for the length of time that he wants. After about 5-6 months, that Nama Ruchi starts entering into his mind, and people only that have tasted know the beauty of how it will be. Many people that have chanted Om Namo Narayanaya, Namah Shivaya, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, first 6 months or first 1 year, all these difficulties will be there. Afterwards, who can be at least 1/4 joyous that you are with just a that Nama Rudrakshini or that rosary in your hand, just to repeat the name of the Lord. What an experience is that? What an experience is it? We have like this any number of accounts, any number of episodes with which the spiritual history of India is filled to illustrate the point that Lord's name is the most delicious thing. It is something that is so much tasty before which the taste of anything simply fades into insignificance. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, anyone who has tasted Rasagulla will never be eager to taste molasses. If only you have tasted Rasagulla, if you have tasted that sugar candy, how at all you will go to taste the molasses? Like that, one who has tasted the beauty of Naam, Harinam, Ramanaam, all other modes and means of joy will simply wither away. They fade into insignificance. They fall away. They simply fall off. It won't be possible for you to go behind them anymore. So what is needed for that? Constant spiritual practices. So to keep you engaged through all these constant spiritual practices, our sages have devised all these festivals. Every week you have one or the other festival. Because they were great psychologists, they knew very well that you cannot do every day. You can't do it even every week regularly if you don't have a special occasion to do it. Unless examination is there, students will not study any book. They study book only because examinations are there. So therefore, we come and sit for some puja or some meditation or some spiritual practice only when some festival is to be performed by us. They knew it very well, and therefore every week almost they have fixed up a festival. Once Shravana Masa starts, till Yugadi, every week you have one or the other festival, because to keep you constantly engaged in remembering the name of the Lord in one or the other way. As you go on performing these practices at the sensory level, when senses become ripened, afterwards you will go to the higher level. At that higher level, you take to Nama Japa. Manu puts it so beautifully. Uttamo Brahma Sadbhavaha. The highest form of spiritual practice is immersing oneself in Brahma Bhava. There is no difference between me and him. I don't exist. Everywhere it is he. Everything is he. Where am I? I don't exist anywhere. This is Brahma Bhava. This is highest bhakti. Bhakti at its highest point, at its superlative degree. I don't exist at all. Where am I? I am not. Then who else is there? He alone is there. When everything is He, I also am He only. This is highest. Uttamo Brahma Sadbhavaha. There is a practice, a form of spiritual practice just below that. What is that? Dhyana Bhavastu Madhyamaha. Just below that is Dhyana Bhava. We sit for meditation. The chosen deity and the seeker, spiritual seeker, these two are different entities. The meditator is meditating upon the meditated. The meditated is the image of Lord, maybe in the form of Krishna, Rama, Shiva, Devi, or whatever it is. He is separate. He is separate from me. I am fixing my mind on Him. But in the process of fixing my mind on Him, I want to lose myself. I want to totally live in the consciousness of His existence. Thereby, I must grow unconscious of my separate existence away from Him. This is the technique and goal of every meditative process. This is the second category from above. Uttamo Brahma Sadbhavaha Dhyana Bhavastu Madhyamaha. It is just a little below that. Stuti Japa Adhamo Bhavo. Below that comes Stuti, chanting stotras and Japa. Below that comes Stuti Japa Adhamo Bhavo. Bahih Puja Adhamadama. Last comes Bahih Puja. That means, what is it? What does it mean? To begin your spiritual practices, as much as possible, you must go for external worship only. Straight away you can't go to the top. You must go to the second. You must commence at the lowest level, that is external worship. Afterwards, or along with that, you must go for bhajans. Along with that, go for bhajans. Along with that, go for the repetition of mantra, japa. When you feel that you have sufficiently done all these things, and when your mind yearns for the constant remembrance of Lord's consciousness, when your mind grows impatient of all these things, it wants to be immersed totally and eternally, through and through, in the remembrance of Lord Himself. When it wants to be in the consciousness of Lord's presence in you, outside you, everywhere, then you have to take to the form of meditation. And when you become established in this, automatically it leads to the Brahma Bhava. That depends upon in what mood you are. Rama once asked Hanuman, "Oh Hanuman, what is the attitude with which you look at me? You look upon me with what attitude?" Hanuman said, it is put in Hanuman Nataka. Hanuman says, "Deha buddhyato dasosmi." O Lord, if I am in body consciousness, then you are Prabhu, you are my Lord, and I am your servant. Deha buddhyato dasosmi. Jiva buddhyato twadamshakaha. If I am at a higher level, then you are whole and I am part. You are whole and I am part of you. Jiva buddhyato twadamshakaha. Atma buddhyaha tvamevaham. When I still grow in my consciousness, when I am in that Atman consciousness, you are me and I am you. There is no separation. There is no difference. You occupy everything and I am a part of that occupation. Where do I live separately? Where am I? Typically, every bhakta will pass through all these three stages. Here nothing is superior, nothing is inferior. Nothing is high, nothing is low. Anything that suits to you temperamentally, that is the best mode of spiritual practice that you have to take to. With all that, Lord Krishna puts very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, japa occupies really a very effective means. Repetition of Naam, it occupies a very effective means, and also bhajan. For Kali Yuga, the external worship, bhajan and japa are a combination of these three, and also meditation if possible. But never think you are deprived of something just because you cannot have any advancement in the process of meditation. Meditation is definitely, really not for all, especially for the beginners. Meditation is for the ripened souls, and that ripening will come to you also. All those people who today appear as ripened must have gone through all these processes in their earlier births or in the early days in the present birth only. It is a very scientific process. It is not possible to jump onto the first level all of a sudden. Things will have to have their own course of action, their own way of progressing towards the final fulfillment, and therefore you have to go according to this particular method only. So, if you combine this Bahya Puja or external worship and bhajan and japa, that will be a wonderful thing. Krishna puts it in Bhagavad Gita. There are different yajnas. Arjuna, remember, in all that I am japa yajna, yajnanam japa yajnosmi. I am japa yajna. If you take to the repetition of mantra, I will be extremely pleased. And Ramakrishna says, with just japa, one can attain to mukti. You can attain liberation through just japa. Nothing else is needed. You need not do anything else. Just go on sincerely, regularly doing this japa. That itself is sufficient for you to attain to mukti or parabhakti or whatever you want. And Sri Rama, Ramanaam is very famous in this regard. How many have been benefited by that? How various forms it is there. There is mantra also. There is one mantra also for Ram. Of course, many mantras cannot be externally pronounced in public. Anyone can take mantra, but through a proper procedure. You have to approach a guru. Guru silently will whisper the mantra into your ears, and with all sincerity and earnestness, you have to practice that. There is a particular procedure. With that procedure being followed scrupulously, anyone can take any mantra depending upon your taste. But public pronouncements about all mantras cannot be made. There are only few mantras that can be pronounced publicly. There is a Rama mantra also. You also can take Rama mantra. You take Rama mantra or you don't take Rama mantra, at least if on all Ekadashi days, if you can spare some time and involve yourself in one way or the other to put your mind totally immersed in that Rama consciousness, it is an extraordinary thing. It is a great thing. Today you have done that. Maharaj has been extremely kind to provide you a wonderful opportunity to assemble here and to dwell upon the glory of Rama. There is a lot to say about Ramayana and all those things, but they are a little bit away from the subject proper. Today I was to prevail upon the power of Ramanaam, and therefore I had to, as far as possible, confine to the subject proper. But you all know about the story of Ramayana, the significance of it. Ramayana will remain through eternity. Valmiki, having written Ramayana, all the rishis were so much pleased, and they all joined together to construct one shloka to be added up to this Ramayana. That gives about the glory of Ramayana. What is Ramayana? How long it will remain? They say, Yavat sthasyanti girayaha saridascha mahitale tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishati. As long as there are mountains, there are rivers, there are hills in the creation, so long Ramayana will remain in currency. Yavat sthasyanti girayaha saridascha mahitale tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishati. In all sincerity, if you just repeat Ram once, just repeat Ramanam once, you are liberated from all your sins. It is with that purpose that Vasishtha framed the word Rama, extracting the second letter from Narayanaya and Namah Shivaya, and Vasishtha did not prove wrong, rather. Through the ages, down history, we have been seeing thousands and thousands of people who were doomed, who had the worst form of damnation in their life, but became liberated by just taking recourse to the simplest word comprising two letters, Ram. Let this Ramanam lift us up. Let it give us all that we need in life, ultimately taking us to the fulfillment of life, that is Bhakti, Jnana, Mukti, Moksha. Thank you so much.
If we have any questions, few minutes we will do the question and answer. Speak clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, Namaskar. My name is Kaushik Mehta, and it was wonderful lecture I have ever heard. The thing is, I have a confusion about a kind of a bhakti marg is important, or by learning Veda and Upanishad and then go with the objectivity and kind of a jignasu method, which we need to approach. Which one is the most perfect way to attain nearness to the God? Say like Meera or Narsi Mehta, they adopted the Bhakti Marga and they have attained their goal by seeing the, nearness to the God. And there is like a Ramakrishna Paramhans, he went to the Veda and Upanishad and then attained that kind of goal. So I wanted to know which one is the better way.
There is nothing like better way or anything like that. There is lot of freedom for spiritual seekers according to Hindu philosophy. Anything that suits you best is the better way for you. Minds are various. Therefore, paths are also various. That freedom has been given in Hinduism. We don't have any cut and dry method. Any method which you feel is most suitable for you, that is the best method for you. Others have got their own methods. Each method is good in its own way. So, in the beginning, but with all that, in the beginning, the mind will not be having consistency. Today it wants to know something about Bhakti Marga and do some bhajans. Tomorrow it thinks, no, by knowing Upanishads only, one can attain to liberation. So let me keep aside Bhakti for some time. So thinking for about another 15 days, you will be engaged in spiritual study. The 16th day again, the mind will come back to bhajan, the devotion path. In the beginning, it is with every spiritual seeker. Because mind is impure and an impure mind can never have consistency. If mind can have consistency, you are a highly gifted man and take it for granted. It will never be possible for the beginners. So, in the beginning, don't go for any one type of method or something like that. In the beginning, somehow see that your mind is engaged in some sort of spiritual reflection, whether it is in the form of bhakti, or in the form of nama japa, or in the form of going through some Vedantic text. In any form, see that you are spending some time for your spiritual illumination. You earmark some time, depending upon your mood. Whichever path you feel you are drawn on that particular day, you do it. Next day you do a different thing if mind wants it. Mind wants to continue the same method, okay, you continue that. You exercise that freedom, you enjoy that freedom, because that is the only way the beginners can progress. If you have any rigidity about your spiritual practice in the beginning, the mind will lose interest, and when it is not interested in that, it becomes a dryness inside that will be so much dry that you totally give it up, never to return again. So, lot of damage will be done. All your spiritual progress will be broken to pieces. So, instead of doing that, our philosophers, our rishis have given us freedom to take to any method, but fix up some time and do your spiritual practice, whether in the form of going through scripture or whatever you want, or doing bhajan during that particular time. If you can stick to the timings, that will have a tremendous impact on your progress. Methodology is not that it is not rigid. You can have flexibility in the methodology. But as far as the time is concerned, try to stick to a particular time. 6 to 7 in the morning means every day 6 to 7 in the morning. That regularity and punctuality is extremely important, because the mind is so peculiar. If you do something at a particular time for about 6 months or 1 year, mind will be waiting for that moment. At the moment that time comes, it will yearn for that. It will aspire to involve itself in that pursuit. That is the peculiarity of the mind. So you make use of that peculiarity for converting your spiritual practice into a natural action.
Hindus, it is told, there are 33 crores gods, 50 Sakoti. If that be the case, several gods are there in Hinduism. By which way we have to believe, which God we have to believe? Why it is created 33 crores gods in Hinduism?
33 crores God existed in India. At the time, India's population was 33 crores. Now, the number of gods is 108 crores.
God is increased too.
Yes. For every Hindu, there is one God. But in Rig Veda, it is clearly said God is one. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. 33 crore names are there for this one God. And for every one name, there must be a particular form. If same form is identified by 4 or 5 names, it looks absurd. I have to call this as book only. I can't call this as some steel pot or something. I can't call anything else. This is book only. Book with such and such a dimension, length, width, thickness and all that. So, one God, one truth can assume any number of forms. That is why we call him as omnipotent, Sarvashakta. Why do we call God as Sarvashakta? Anything is impossible for him. He can take any form. There is a beautiful incident in Dhruva's life. You know, Narada asked Dhruva to do tapasya on Narayana so that he will become king. He will be coronated. He will be installed on the throne of the kingship. Dhruva was put aside. Dhruva was given raw deal. You know the story. His stepmother did not allow him to sit on the lap of his father. Dhruva became extremely infuriated and downtrodden. And when he was bitterly crying, Narada came to him and said, "You want to become the king, you want to sit on the lap of your father, then do one thing. You repeat Narayana, you do some tapasya on Narayana. He give you anything that..." Narada is there always to champion the cause of Narayana. So Dhruva went and did tapasya. We all know this story, being Hindus. Narayana appeared also, being moved by this innocent devotion of this young lad. Hardly he was 5-6 years old. Narayana appeared and asked Dhruva, "Dhruva, so sincerely you have prayed to me. I am extremely pleased with your devotion. What do you want? Ask me something, I will give you." Being a young boy, seeing the glory and the beauty of Narayana, he forgot everything. It did not strike to him as to what he must ask at all. Just a boy of 5-6 years old. Just then, wind blew. Dhruva has been intently observing Narayana. His earrings did not move. You know what Dhruva asked Narayana? "So much wind is blowing. Why your earrings are not moving?" This is the one that he asked. "Ask me for something." When Narayana said, "You know what Dhruva asked? Wind is blowing, but your earrings are not moving. Why?" Narayana gives a beautiful answer. That is the answer for your question also. If you want my earrings to move, they will move. If you want my earrings to move, they will move. I will always be according to how you want me to look. So this is the flexibility and greatness of the Lordship that Hindus have. So God does not want to disappoint anyone. "Oh my dear devotee, now that you have come to me, in whatever form that you want to see me, I am here to appear. Whatever name that you want to prescribe to me, that name I will accept. If you want me to be without form, that also is acceptable to me. I am ever here to please you. I have nothing of my own." So it is with that philosophy. Several gods are not there. One God can assume any form, and every time he assumes a form, he comes to be known by a particular name, and normally we mistake it to be as another God itself. No, it is not God itself. One God in a different form.
Last question.
Last question, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
When you do the spiritual practice, do we doing it? I mean, it's recommended like excluding worldly things. Like some scriptures say don't frequently watch television or don't do pressure things like going to a movie or so. Is there a recommendation that we have a fixed time for spiritual practice? That aside, do we stay up or minimize?
In the beginning, you need not go for minimizing anything because mind will not accept.
Right.
What you have to do is just add some spiritual practice as a part of your everyday routine and be doing it earnestly and regularly. Afterwards, it will take care of the whole of it. Just add God into the list of preferences that you have got. So much time for your daughter, so much time for your wife, so much time for your office. Just fix up a time duration of 5 minutes or 10 minutes to Lord. This 10 minutes is of Lord. During this 10 minutes, I am not going to do anything. Just I will remember His glory. That is all. Whichever form of Lord that you want to accept as your wisdom, as your chosen deity. Just 10 minutes. Afterwards, you increase it to 15 minutes. Maximum, you put it to 20 minutes or 20 minutes, depending upon the availability of free time for you, or half an hour. Just do it regularly and don't do anything else. Once you are doing it regularly, automatically it will guide you all the things that you need to do at higher stages of your progress. Just provide one place for Lord in your daily life. That is all that is needed. Don't be entirely fixed to material pursuits only. Let Lord also be one of your pursuits. Afterwards, He will take care of everything. Yes.
Lord Rama was having Ekapatni Vrata, whereas his father had 3 wives. And Panchapandavas were having 1 wife for 5 brothers. Is it permitted in Hinduism to have several wives? And according to Rama, it is only 1 wife. This is a question which is posed by several people. Will you please clarify about that?
Yes, that depends upon the social necessities.
I think this subject will, next time Swami comes, you keep parrot. It's a vast subject. If you want to know, now we'll...
We have got the brief answer anyway.
It was beautiful. Rama's glory to think and meditate. We are sitting here. Every month we will do.
This car is parked on the driveway. I'm going to tow it away.
Somebody's car is parked in the driveway, somebody's parkway.
5ZQG158 is a Toyota. I got the tow truck out there ready to tow your car away, so please move it. Thank you.
Please don't park the cars, neighbors' driveway. Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, all of you. Every month we do Ramanaam Sankirtana. We put the Purushottamanaji's tape and we'll give the book. You can all chant with that and meditate. Ramanama glory is like a sitting and under the tree as a beautiful honey bee there, comb is there, honey. Oh, beautiful! What beautiful bees are flying, bringing the all collecting and making a sweetness. You go on talking about that one. That is not going to make your mouth sweet. Get up a tree carefully, with protection, take out some honey and sit in a safe place and lick your hand. You will see. All your questions will be ended. You will enjoying only nothing else. Anybody calls you, wait a minute, you are enjoying the sweetness. A spirituality, the Ramanama, the glory of sweetness of Rama's name. How should we chant? When should we chant? Where should we chant? We should be a monk, we should be a brahmachari, we should be a householder, we should be taken a shower, we should be this one. You go on calculating, you will never know the sweetness of Rama. Whatever you are, whenever you get time, lunch break you get in the office, sit at in the quiet table eating, oh Rama, think just Rama's name. There is way build up some feeling, spiritual vibration within you. Make a habit. Every breath you make it some small habit. And as Swami has said to you, regularity, most important. Morning and evening, a few minutes, feel the presence of God within you and take His name. You will enjoy that. If we can't organize that much, we have to work a little hard. That's all. God bless all of you. Thank you. So we'll do Aarati now.